Evolution of the Eurasian community. With the arrival of the British at the tail end of the 1700s, the Eurasian community saw a new phase in its evolution outside Malacca and in the newly established ports of Penang and Singapore. The Reutens family tracks this new direction, beginning with Philip Reutens, who arrives in Penang from Ambon, then under the VOC, around 1790. The family also revises a perception of Eurasians being the product only of mixed marriages between Europeans and Asians. As revealed in this article, the Eurasian identity also included Christianized Asians from Indonesia and Thailand and more, with no European ethnicity but had become Christianized through conversion. Under British rule, intermarriages also happened with a broader group of Europeans, including French and British settlers, like the Lows, Carothers and Moisinecs mentioned below, that came with the new administration. The core identity, however, retained the same core values of Western dress, English-speaking, living in close proximity in Eurasian neighborhoods, with social lives centered around the Eurasian community and church. The British also brought Ceylonese burghers and Anglo-Indians, already skilled in the British administration, that would intermarry into the local Eurasian communities. Philip Reutens, 1755, unknown. The Dutch East India Company was in terminal decline through the 1780s, declared bankruptcy in 1799, and was formally dissolved. But the crisis was visible by the 1780s. VOC wages were going unpaid, garrisons were being reduced, and Ambonese auxiliary soldiers and sailors who had built their lives around VOC service were being cut loose across the archipelago. Philip Reutens, born around 1755 in Ambon, would have come of age precisely during this period, when Ambonese men in his position, junior officers, converted Christians with maritime skills needed to find another European patron, which is probably what brought him to Penang around the time of its foundation in 1786. He is not listed in the Penang census of 1788, but records show that in 1791 he marries a Thai Catholic living in the Eurasian Catholic settlement at Pulau Tikus. Variously described as a captain, a Dutch sailor and trader in many sources, the truth is he was not Dutch, nor a captain. He is Ambonese, and my AI-generated illustration of him here reflects those Austronesian Papuan ethnic features, which are evident in his descendants. See George Reutens below. The marriage record also indicates he was a Kapitan Muda, literally young captain, a specific junior rank within the indigenous administration and military hierarchy established by the Dutch East India Company. His wife is Joanna Sikuriom, a Siamese Catholic, identified in the census as head of a household with 4 dependents, implying she might be a widow 3 years before her marriage to Philip.
The small but diverse population in Pulau Tikus included a Burmese community, among the first to settle in this area. They founded Kampung Ava, located near what is now Burma Lane. The Siamese community then settled alongside the Burmese in Kampung Siam, along with Indian laborers and a pioneer group of Eurasians that arrived with Francis Light in 1786, who initially settled in the Georgetown city center around China Street. Then Kampung Serani in Pulau Tikus became more fully established with a second, larger wave of refugees from Phuket around 1810-1811. Buildings in Pulau Tikus in 1790 were almost exclusively Malay-type wooden structures on stilts with atap roofs. The famous Church of the Immaculate Conception began as a wooden chapel, until a brick-and-mortar structure was built in 1819. In the photo of teachers at St. Joseph is my great-grandfather Michael Maxwell Scully, whose mother was Regina Reutens, granddaughter of Philip Reutens. Pulau Tikus would become a significant enclave for Eurasians, although many Eurasians also lived in the city where they worked, particularly around Argus Lane, Love Lane, Muntry Street, and the area behind the Church of the Assumption on Bishop Street. Charles August Reutens, to 1856. By the early 1900s, Penang was a bustling British Crown colony in the Strait settlements, serving as a key trading port, driven by rubber and tin, with a diverse population dominated by Chinese and Tamil communities in Georgetown. It was a period of high economic volatility and rapid expansion, characterized by a lively harbor, colonial architecture, and severe flooding in December.
In 1916, Charles Reutens married his fellow teacher working at St. Xavier's Institution, Louise Moisinac, at the Church of the Assumption in Georgetown. Family members recall that Louise used to have outfits made for her daughters by a dressmaker, using laces and materials from Europe, with matching hats, gloves, stockings, and shoes. Louise had a Javanese mother, Ponia, married to Theodore Moisinac, a manager of tobacco and coffee plantations, who famously used to favor her dark-skinned grandchildren, calling them Intan Manis, or beautiful jewels, an inversion of the hierarchies based on skin color that were present within Penang's Eurasian community. Their social world was a small one, centered on the church, school, employed largely as civil servants with the British administration. George Samuel Reutens, 1841-1923. G.S. Reutens was born and educated in Penang, joining John Company in 1856, shortly after transferring to the Marine Department in Singapore, where he worked until retiring in 1902. 19th century Singapore. 1860 Singapore was a bustling, rapidly developing British trading port that was a cosmopolitan trading hub undergoing transition, dominated by shipping, warehousing, and early construction. The administrative focus of the British Strait settlements moved from Penang to Singapore in 1833, attracting many Eurasian civil servants and traders to the new center. George was the son of Philip Reutens and Clara Painter, the daughter of the famous rounder-up of pirates whose real name was Pinto, which he changed on entering the East India Company's service, where he was hired by Francis Light to get rid of all the pirates operating in Penang waters. He had 2 wives and 13 children. His daughter Cecilia married Charles Lau. Her daughter Evelina was killed in Ulu Tiram. Magdalene married into the Scully family that I am also descended from. Clara married Captain David Carruthers, that my great-grandmother Virginia Miles had also been married to. The post-colonial Eurasian community. Under British hegemony, Malaya was one of the most profitable territories of the empire, being the world's largest producer of tin and later rubber, with many Eurasians enjoying privileged positions in this economy and the civil administration. The 1950s and 1960s saw a mass emigration of Eurasians to the United Kingdom, Australia, and other Commonwealth countries, following the withdrawal of British personnel from Singapore and Malaya. Due to economic uncertainty post-World War II, political and social instability such as the 1969 KL riots, nationalist policies favoring local languages and ethnic groups gave concern about career and future prospects led to many Eurasians, including descendants of the Reutens, decided to migrate to Australia, the UK, and Canada. Even for the Eurasians that stayed behind, the community continued to shrink as a result of assimilation through intermarriages with other ethnic groups.